If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10, broadcasted on Channels Television live from Lagos. Well, moving on to other stories at the moment, mixed reactions have continued to trail the recent appointment by the President Muhammadu Buhari. While some have hailed his decision, others criticised the appointment, describing it as lopsided and devoid of the principle of federal character.
It's 3 months into the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari's administration, and before now, many Nigerians lived daily with high expectations from the government, especially in the appointment of persons to fill in key positions in his government. A few days ago, the president came up with a list of those to man some positions. The appointments came with much criticism. This is how the executive director of the Center for Social Justice reacts.
We had expected that if you look at the entire positions that have so far been given out by the president, not a single appointment has been made from the Southeast geopolitical zone, comprising the 5 states. Not one single appointment since he started has come to that zone. And so the president clearly, in violation of his promise that he belongs to everybody.
But some other Nigerians are of the opinion that there is no cause for alarm. According to them, competence is the watchword, irrespective of the region of those appointed.
The appointments are no longer considered on the basis of ethnicity, but should be considered on the effectiveness, capacity and capability of the individual to deliver all the deliverables from his office, not the name, not the ethnicity he comes from. Although the law says there has to be a reflection of the composition of the country, but based on the appointment yesterday, I think they were all well suited for the positions they were made.
I believe that until there's a full complement of appointments in government, it is difficult to raise the issue of federal character. If these are just a few appointments that are being made now. So it is when we look at the entire picture of what we have in government that we can now say that it is not follow federal character. The appointments are interesting, and then we will see how they play out. But for me, I don't think that the issue of federal character can be raised piecemeal.
Many Nigerians will be expecting outstanding performances from those appointed.
Credible, free and fair governorship elections in Kogi State is top priority to the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. This is according to the INEC Kogi Resident Electoral Commissioner, Mr. Hussein Pai, during an interactive session with journalists in Lokoja, the state capital. The Commissioner promised that the lessons learned from previous elections will be used to ensure a hitch-free poll.
Already given out some of the activities that it is going or that are going to happen before the election. For example, we have continuous voter registration, which is going to take place from 2nd September to 7th of September. We are also going to resume the distribution of permanent voters' cards from 2nd September to 7th of September. We are also going to witness party primaries that span between 21st August to 19th September.
Some victims of human trafficking in Edo State are appealing to the Nigerian government to exercise caution when friends and relatives approach them with promises of a better life abroad. Some of the girls who were recently repatriated from Italy say that despite assurances by close relatives who tricked them into traveling to Europe, they were forced into prostitution by the same trusted relatives. Here's the report.
Trade between Africans and Europeans was abolished in the 1870s. Or was it? Statistics has shown that human trafficking, aptly described as modern slavery, has thrived in Nigeria and in particular Edo State, attracting the intervention of both national and international organizations.
99% of the girls in Italy come from Nigeria, precisely in Edo, Benin City.
Lured with promises of a better life, these girls discovered that the only job available in Europe for them is prostitution.
When I got to the place, I was surprised that all of them were pulling their clothes, wearing brassiere, pulling their trousers, wearing hose. I said, what is this? What are you people doing here? They started laughing at me. What is she saying? Didn't your mother tell you where we were going? You not go work, as in, am I not going to work? She said, my mother said we should take you to work. This is where we work. This is where we get our daily bread. So you have to do something. Wake up.
The victims are usually the poor and desperate, anxious enough to undergo traditional rituals which precedes the trips abroad, as the traffickers seek to protect their investment.
She took my nails, my hair, and my pants and my bra. I said, sister, why are you taking all this? Before I left Nigeria, they did the same.
She took me to a white garment church, and she gave me some concoction to eat, a cooked egg to eat, and she told me that the cooked egg is going to serve as protection.
But the government says only the greedy are trafficked now, since much awareness has been created.
We know now that if a man decides to send his child abroad, it is not because he has been deceived that the child is going to work in a plantation farm. The child, the man or the woman has deliberately decided that the child should be used for trafficking. I don't think that poverty is a thing. The excuse here, I think it is greed.
This young woman tells us she's arranging her trip abroad and is aware of the dangers.
I don't care because it's all about success. It's about me coming back to Nigeria, rich. I got a lot of friends in Italy who come here and they have houses, cars and everything from prostitution.
But those who have been there have this advice for parents and relatives.
So I use this opportunity to beg una. If person come carry una pikin go Europe, mona ask am, which kind of work my pikin want go do for Europe? Now our mothers go even follow us, go native doctor, go the college juju, mo go the work, mo take the work for Italy. I use God to beg una.
The hope is that this advice will be considered by those who are seeking greener pastures abroad by any means.
Well, joining us to have a better perspective of the issue of prostitution as it is being perpetrated is the Chief Executive Officer, Child Health Initiative, Mrs. Lola Alunge. I want to thank you so much indeed for coming on the News at 10. You just heard the report there. Some of the girls are saying that it's as a result of being tricked into the trade with promises of going abroad for greener pastures. One of the other ones says that it's not as a result of that. I'm interested and I'm going to go because it's a motivation for me and I'm going to make money out of it and build houses and get cars, for example. What are your thoughts?
I think it's quite disheartening. Just some few days ago, I'll just give an example on the social media. I got to read about a young girl talking about her experience, that when she was obviously taken abroad, told she was going to get to work and all that, she found herself having to sleep with men, even to the extent of sleeping with their animals, dogs. Oh, I couldn't believe that. And then even recent statistics from UK also indicated that a lot of trafficking cases actually are coming from Nigeria. About 30% of the cases they're having now is from Nigeria, and 80% of them are from Edo State. This is really disheartening. I also got to know recently from the United Nations report that Nigeria was declared one of the 8 countries with the highest rate of trafficking. Then you can see what our girls are saying. Oh, it's I need to go. Oh, we're tricked into it. But I think we should start from the family. What's the value of the girl child? Because from what they have said, even the parents are part of it. They encourage them. The parents need to lay good examples. They need to know that the girl child must be educated, must be empowered, must be able to do what is right. They should be like role models to them. And the girls, for example, it's worrisome. They have the mindset of get rich quick. they're just carried away by the frivolities of life.
Okay, let me just put you on hold for a second or two there. As Ife Ike, the author, youth activist, she's also a motivational speaker. She joins us live from Atlanta in the United States. I want to thank you so much indeed. We're having an interesting disco here also in the studio. Mrs. Lola Longe, the CEO, Child Health Initiative, is with us as well. Let me ask you very quickly, what kind of conditions are you faced with in the United States, where you are in Atlanta to be precise? Do these girls face?
Well, there's a very bad condition for the girls because in America, prostitution is seen as a crime. You know, you're not allowed to even prostitute, so it is a big crime here. So the FBI and the Homeland Security, they are working tirelessly to arrest the prostitutes, to arrest their captors, those that traffic prostitutes. They're working on their border control. So it is not a good condition here. I mean, this is a global problem, but every country has to work on stopping these problems.
Do you have, for instance, situations where some of these girls just want to break out of this ring of prostitution and get a better job, for example? What do they have to gain in this?
Well, you know, some of these girls really would like to get out, but let's get something clear. There is a clear distinction between willful prostitution and trafficking prostitution. Trafficking prostitution is enslavement, so the girls are controlled by their captors. But willful prostitution, you are the one that decided, so there is no captivity. You can decide to change your life. So that's where we need motivational speakers. We need, counselors to talk to these girls. And those ones that got into the trade by willfulness will get out because it's easy for them to get out. The ones that are being trafficked by traffickers, it is very difficult. They can't just get out. They are locked up and they are controlled by those that are financing the trade. So they can't just get out.
If you let me just put you on hold also and focus on Mrs. Salonge. She says they cannot get out, for example. Do you believe there's a way for them, an opportunity that will hold them back in Nigeria and see the advantages they stand to gain instead of traveling outside for greener pastures?
I think we should start with what you're doing here, which is quite laudable. Creating awareness, let the young girls out there listen to the experiences of others. It's not like what they tell you, it's another story entirely. So why not get focused? Why not go to school? Why not learn a skill? And that starts with getting the government involved as well. We need to actually look at ways of making sure every girl child is educated. And even after I'm aware some governors actually pay for the school certificate. Even after that, there should be skills acquisition centers. For example, I know we have that in Lagos State. I believe all the state governors should be able to have such skills acquisition centers so that such girls can go there and acquire a skill. And also we're looking at things like also empowering them with loans. We've been advocating for something like a bank for the women where they will have interest-free loans. Of course, this is a good time to also look at that so that when they're empowered, when they learn a skill, they can obviously have access to loan. And I also heard recently that the federal government, President Muhammadu Buhari, recently said he was going to devote a lot of resources, money, and attention to the development of women and children. So with that, I think there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and I hope with this awareness and parents actually making sure they're not even part of it. The girl child, young girls who think they have to go abroad will believe in Nigeria and be able to pursue their life and career here.
Well, let me come to you again, Ife. What are your thoughts along the line? I find it repulsive, for example, that I'm going to Italy and they don't speak English there, and I'm being told by some relatives that I'm going there for a job. This is contradicting. Can you expatiate more on the possibility that these people are being brain drained or just out of wish, get them confused to want to go along this trade line?
Okay, this story about girls being tricked is old. It is old. It's so yesterday. I mean, I've seen these prostitutes in Italy for 20 years. Let me say 20 years plus, since I was 17 years old when I got married and went to Europe. I've seen them for years, and they all tell this same story. And I'm sorry to say that after spending 3 years in Nigeria, because I was just in Nigeria 3 years, I created a orientation program that was meant for National Orientation Agency and Culture and Tourism. I created these programs to bring awareness, to teach these girls and these young boys about purpose. and about the destructive elements of prostitution, about robbery and all of these problems. Of course, I have problems with National Orientation Agency because I don't know what Mike Emery is doing. I don't think he understands the mandate given to National Orientation Agency. A lot of these girls, let me tell you something, this trade, it's not just about the girls and the promises they give them. You have parents encouraging this prostitution. You have girls in Nigeria, students buying cars for their parents.
So what would you recommend?
Education for their siblings.
What would you recommend against the parents? What would you recommend against the parents?
Well, we need to have National Orientation Agency and Human Rights Commission, because these two agencies, they have to fight this war. They need to create programs that will bring awareness to parents about their children, how they raise their children, and what they're expecting from their children. Government, of course, we know that unemployment, causes this part of the problem. Unemployment and lack of education, poor governance, all of these cause this perpetual cycle. But we need to focus on programs that will not only bring awareness to these parents, but to also teach them the destructive elements of the prostitution. And we need to make these parents understand that they don't have to wait to drive Mercedes, at the expense of the future of their children. Okay. You don't need to buy all the wrappers. You don't need to live in a mansion and destroy the future of your child.
I'm afraid I'm just going to have to put it put you on hold there for a second or two and speak to Alonge, who is here with us in the studio. What are your thoughts there, though? Should these girls be condemned?
No, I think they should be given the opportunity. Obviously, some are actually repatriated back to Nigeria, absorbed back into the society, sent into the skills acquisition centers, let them learn a skill there, and then obviously empower them. And the family should embrace them. Nigeria, there are young girls out there doing very well. They should be examples to them. They have gone through a bad experience. They should believe they are back home now and they can easily get used to the environment, acquire skill, and be able to fulfill their careers and life.
I want to thank you so much indeed, Mrs. Lola Alonge, the CEO, Child Health Initiative, for coming on the news at 10. And also to Ife Ike, the author, youth activist, and motivational speaker. I want to thank you both so much indeed for coming on the news at 10. Okay. And when the news at 10 returns, some youths take to the office of the NLNG in Port Harcourt to protest the siting of a project outside the Niger Delta. That's in a moment. Stay with us.